All good things must come to an end. Relationships, Game of Thrones, and title reigns. Yes, even genders. While losing it fairly is the classic conclusion to ensure a new champion begins their reign with credibility, sometimes an angle demands a different manner of relieving a champion of their title. There have been numerous instances of title reigns ending without the incumbent champion legitimately losing their title. It's happened throughout pro wrestling's illegitimate history. And with that in mind, I'm Adam Wilborn from What Culture, and these are 10 WWE champions who never lost their titles. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to stay notified. Ding, ding, done. Number 10. Antonio Inoki. Ending Bob Backlund's year-long reign as WWF champion in Japan, Inoki, famous for not doing jobs, would you f***ing make him, dropped the strap back to Backlund a week later. However, the match was declared a no contest due to interference, leaving Inoki as the reigning WWF champion. Not one to be constrained by American influence or tradition, though, Inoki simply refused the title and went back to his series of battles with opponents of various disciplines. Backlund would go on to beat Bobby Duncombe Jr. a week later to regain his title, and we all pretended like this never happened. Number 9. Edge. Edge, the spectacular that he is, hoisted the World Heavyweight Championship high in victory on 7 separate occasions. However, he only lost the big gold belt on 4. My best friend's first reign ended abruptly, relinquishing the belt due to injury a mere 2 months after cashing in his second Money in the Bank contract on The Undertaker. Then, during his record-breaking 6th run as champion, Edge was stripped of the belt by Vicky Guerrero, and it was handed over to Dolph Ziggler, because that's how you get someone over. While Edge would relieve Ziggler of the title for his 7th reign later in the evening, it would be his last. Just 8 weeks later, Edge appeared on Raw to deliver the shocking news that he'd been suffering from a neck injury that could be life-threatening should he continue to wrestle, relinquishing the title and retiring in the process. I'm not crying. You're crying. Number 8. Vince McMahon. Mired in a battle to save the future Mrs. Helmsley, Papa McMahon challenged Triple H for his recently won WWF Championship. With his seed as referee, Vince got the kicked out of him, until his old rival Austin came to his aid, stunning trips and draping McMahon's limp body over for the win. The boyhood dream had finally come true for 54-year-old Vinnie Mac, the oldest WWE champion of all time. Then he decided he wasn't really a wrestler and relinquished his own property a week later. Number 7. Seth Rollins. Using Kane as a heater and any number of foreign objects and regulations at his disposal, most famously Jon Stewart at SummerSlam, swerve! The Architect was 7 months into his first reign as WWE World Heavyweight Champion in 2015 when he fatefully tore his ACL, MCL, and medial meniscus at a live event in Dublin. Ouch. Requiring immediate surgery, Rollins was unable to even relinquish his title personally, and instead, his old pal Reigns won a tournament to be crowned champion for the first time, before losing it to Sheamus the same night. Those were the days. Number 6. CM Punk. It's fair to say that WWE and Phillip Brooks have always had quite the strained relationship. This made it all the more stranger when he successfully cashed in his Money in the Bank contract on Edge to win the World Heavyweight Championship. However, it became immediately clear that WWE regretted their decision more than when my parents decided to have children. At Unforgiven, rather than have Punk competitively lose the title, Randy Orton punted him in the head before the match, and the title was anticlimactically forfeited for him by default. And you wonder why he quit. Number 5. Finn Balor. Immediately injected into a headline spot, Balor bested Roman Reigns on his first night on Raw to win the right to compete for the inaugural WWE Universal Championship at SummerSlam opposite Seth Rollins. Literally put anything up instead of that ugly thing, please. That's much better. Unfortunately, the duo's attempt to create a bout to match the history of the occasion resulted in an overeager buckle bomb which tore a labium in Balor's shoulder. The next night on Raw, Balor relinquished the title he'd won only 24 hours before and disappeared for 8 months. The Universal title has yet to recover, and neither has Balor as a main event prospect. Number 4. Andre the Giant. Ted DiBiase's attempts at procuring the WWF Championship were stifled by his inability to defeat Hulk Hogan. Oh, and he wouldn't sell it to him either. Instead, he turned to Hulk's arch nemesis and made him an offer he couldn't refuse. With Andre in his pocket, the WrestleMania rematch between the two of them finally took place at the main event in February of 1988. Andre was now the champion for the first and only time, and he handed it right over to DiBiase. There you go, mate. DiBiase lasted merely days before Jack Tunney admitted he'd had a bit of a mare and stripped him of the title. Number 3. Daniel Bryan. As fans across the world engaged in active and often vitriolic rejection of Bryan being overlooked, a meritocratic phenomenon occurred within WWE, and Bryan was rewarded with a championship reign. About bloody time. And then, only 4 weeks after winning the title, he underwent neck surgery. The worst was confirmed on June 9th when the Authority stripped Bryan of the WWE Championship. Bryan returned to win the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania 31, but in eerily similar fashion to the year before, Bryan again relinquished the title due to injury. After a 6-month absence, Daniel Bryan retired in 2016, the undefeated WWE and Intercontinental champion. Making a miraculous return to the ring in 2018, Bryan has still yet to have a rematch for the title. Just saying. Number 2. Shawn Michaels. Yeah, Shawn Michaels was never big on losing belts, was he? Having managed to almost always avoid doing so, he must have been none too pleased to learn that he was penciled in to lose his WWF Championship at WrestleMania to the man he defeated for the honor only a year prior, Bret Hart. Ooh, awkward. HBK needed an out. Luckily for him, he actually had a pre-existing knee injury that required surgery. See ya! Telling the world he'd lost his smile and claiming that the injury was so bad that he might have to retire, Michaels simply handed the title over to Vince McMahon and went home. Number 1. Bret Hart. The toxic working relationship, a bit like me and Jules, between on-screen rivals Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in 1997 reached new heights when Michaels returned from his surgery in the summer. Hart, jaded with Michaels' reluctance to do business with him and his public implication of Hart having an affair, attacked Michaels backstage at a live show, rupturing what was left of any chance of the two settling their issues. After Michaels had told Hart to his face that he wouldn't put him over in their next meeting, Hart likewise refused to drop the WWF title to Michaels in his last match in the company. Those of you who've been paying attention probably know what happened next. What followed was the most contentious decision in wrestling history, as Vince McMahon called for the bell mid-match and Michaels was declared champion. Bret Hart, sadly, was never the same again.